Well, once again, a very warm welcome to those of you who are listening to us on 87.8 Shuttleworth FM at your cars, or if you're still somewhere else in the site, maybe with your portable radios. You're very welcome to our Military Airshow 2021, an event with something of a rotary wing aspect to it that we don't often have at Old Warden, and the centrepiece of this is very much the public airshow debut in civilian hands of the Sea King HC4, the Jungly, from Historic Helicopters at Chard in Somerset. And Steve Daniels is the man entrusted with it for its first display, as I say, as a civilian aircraft. Though, Steve, we're sure this one must have been seen in the commando assaults at Yeovilton over the years.
Yes, Ben, this aircraft will have taken part in many flying displays at Yeovilton, and in fact I probably led a display with this one in when I was the commanding officer of the training squadron and led all of those jungly assaults.
Indeed. Just for the benefit of the audience, do run through your extensive rotary wing experience. I see you have the badge of the Society of Experimental Test Pilots on your shoulder, but that's just one part of your rotary wing experience, isn't it?
Yes, I joined the Navy in the mid-70s and became a commando squadron pilot flying the Wessex and the Sea King, and then was very fortunate to be selected for test pilot training, going to America to do my course. And since then I've managed in my service career to do a sort of commando squadron operational role, several tours or appointments as we would say, and mixed it with test flying appointments. So I sort of crisscrossed between the two. And operationally it was great fun flying all over the world in the Mark IV Sea King and the Wessex, but test flying again all over the world in probably 150 different types.
Goodness me, and that includes a period as an instructor on ETPS, am I right?
Yes, that's right. When I was a lieutenant commander in the early 90s, I did a 3-year appointment to ETPS as a military test pilot instructor. And then when I retired from the Navy in 2008, I went back as a civilian to ETPS. And I retired last Christmas after 12 years as a civilian.
Ah, right. And then obviously with some other interesting civilian helicopter activities which we'll come on to. But let's just talk for a moment, if we may, about the operational side of flying in the Jungly Force, as it's often known. Some very inhospitable climates involved in that, I'm sure.
Yes, my time was spent pre-Iraq and Afghanistan and those sort of conflicts. So most of my inhospitable time was spent in Norway doing Arctic and maritime winter training and exercises down to -26. I remember in a tent one night sleeping at -26, and we had to warm all the gearboxes up for the Sea Kings as well in order to fly them. It was so cold.
Indeed, and much the same before that on the Wessex?
Yes, we started flying up in Norway at a place called Bardufoss with the Wessex. So my first times up there were in the 70s, and yeah, they coped pretty well with those temperatures. But of course, we used to take them into deserts as well, pre-Iraq, Afghanistan for training, and often down to Oman to do training out there. So we got the hot weather time and the cold weather time.
Yes, indeed. As far as the Sea King is concerned, in HC4, guys, as we see it here today, such an outstanding servant to the UK military for so many years.
Yes, it's interesting that the Mark IV Sea King came about because it was initially a buy for the Egyptians.
The Egyptians, indeed,
that's
yes,
right.
the Westland Commando.
That's right, they cancelled the buy, and so we got them, and had it not been for that cancellation, I don't think we'd have got the Mark IV Sea King. And you have to remember that in the Mark IV Sea King world, flying the Marines around, you had to be quite aggressive with the aircraft.
Yes.
But it's an anti-submarine warfare aircraft in its previous guise, and therefore it's not designed to be aggressively flown.
Yeah. But how did it therefore perform in that different environment from which it was intended?
Oh, she performed wonderfully all over the world. As a Sea King Mark IV pilot in the Royal Marines sort of environment, in the amphibious assault environment, you do have to be a little bit careful about how you fly the aircraft, because it is potentially easy to exceed some of the limitations. She's not designed to be thrown around, but if you recognise that, she has always been absolutely marvellous. And the Royal Marines love her because you can get so many of them in compared to the old Wessex.
And also some of the particular challenges of the work you'd be doing with the Mark IVs would have been both, depending on the theatre you're in, whiteout and brownout conditions.
Yes, that's right. Most of us in the old days, and I was on the very first Mark IV Sea King course, most of us were used to whiteout with the snow in Bardufoss and Norway for the winter training. And so therefore, when we started going into the desert, then it was nothing new, just the colour changed.
Yes.
But the techniques we used and honed in the snow of Norway were equally well used in the desert.
So, to move the story full circle, in recent years, Andrew Whitehouse has been setting up his astonishing historic helicopters fleet down at the Chard Equestrian Centre. And you have been playing a part in that for quite a while now, haven't you? Initially with the Wessex.
Yes, that's right. Andrew, our owner, had the opportunity to buy a Whirlwind initially. So he flew the Whirlwind on the air display circuits for a few years. And then he was given the opportunity to buy a Wessex, and he took it and he got it flying. And at that time, he wanted a pilot to be his chief pilot who had flown the Wessex, and also the ones he planned to get, which were the Sea King, the Lynx, and a few others. And he phoned me up one day and asked me if I would be interested, and I came to visit him. Saw that the setup was hugely professional.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
Went from there, yes. We don't have too many engineers, but they're ex-Air Force and Navy engineers, and they do a tremendous job, and it's just like walking into a military squadron in the hangar. It's fantastic.
Yeah. You did the first post-restoration flight of the Wessex, didn't you? And then its display debut, as people might have seen on TV at Yeovilton.
Yes, that's right. We were lucky enough to be selected for the Warbird Workshop series.
Yes, that's it.
On Yesterday TV. And so they filmed us throughout the Wessex restoration. And if anyone has seen that programme, the theme of it is, will they or will they not make Yeovilton Air Day? And despite a few issues that we had with the aircraft, as you might expect for an aircraft that hadn't flown for 32 years, we made Yeovilton Air Day, and we opened the show.
Indeed.
And we got a lot of positive feedback for that.
It was a great day. I remember it very well. Now, moving on a little bit, not just one, but now 3 airworthy Sea Kings in the fleet, 2 ex-RAF HAR3s and this Mark IV, which took to the air last October, I believe.
That's correct. We originally got the first of the Mark IIIs flying. The second one was always planned to be the Mark IV, and the local link from Chard with Yeovilton was very much key to getting that done as soon as possible. 2 weeks ago, we got the test flights completed for the next Mark III Sea King, but there are 2 more to go.
Yes,
So
the Belgian.
Andrew has bought 2 Belgian Sea Kings, Mark 48s, I think they're called.
Yes, they are, yeah.
Mark 48s, and we're going to pick them up at the end of the year, having prepared them in Belgium at Coxide Airfield.
Yes.
And he's also bought a Mark V Search and Rescue Sea King from the Navy, so that will be Sea King number 6. And it's interesting, I used to be the commanding officer of a squadron at Yeovilton. He has now more helicopters than I had when I was a military squadron commanding officer.
It's absolutely incredible. And of course, that's not the end of the story, because then the Widgeon has just been announced.
Well, it has, but you've missed out the Lynx.
The Lynx as well.
Yeah, we
the Mark
have a
VII
Lynx
Lynx
that will fly in the next couple of months.
Oh, really? As soon as that?
She's ready to fly now, but the paperwork's gone into the CAA.
Of course.
But of course, you mentioned the Widgeon, and we looked at a Widgeon at Sywell, Northampton Airfield, about a month ago. And the owner of it from Sloan's Helicopters said that if we were willing to, or if Andrew was willing to get it flying, he would donate it, and that's what's happened, and therefore we are going to be flying within a year, hopefully, the Westland Widgeon.
Absolutely incredible. The resurgence of historic helicopters in general, using the term generally as opposed to just the historic helicopters fleet that you represent here today, has been one of the great joys of the airshow circuit in the last few years, with all the Wasps and Scouts, the Sioux with the Army Historic Flight, a couple of Hueys, the Loach. It really does seem to be a burgeoning scene, with the operation at Chard very much in the vanguard of it.
Well, we're following in some famous footsteps of people who've flown helicopters at Air Day, so we're catching up, really. But I think we're catching up big time with the numbers of helicopters we have.
And overtaking, indeed, one might say.
Andrew, I know, is on the lookout for a Cobra and an Iroquois, so I have to stop him buying helicopters if I can help it, because it takes me quite a while to get the pilots qualified.
Of course,
and,
yes.
That's probably our limiting factor at the moment, is the pilot availability. To man as many as we want to get flying at the same time.
Of course, and then there's the question of, I imagine, how do you instruct someone to fly a Widgeon? Are there any surviving Widgeon instructors still around?
Well, no, they're not, but with my test flying background, the CAA are relatively content to allow me to do the maintenance test flights on them, and then take over as the first licensed pilot, and then I teach the others in turn. So we've done that for every aircraft except the Whirlwind, which obviously Andrew purchased in a flying condition.
Yes.
But all the ones that we've prepared, I have done the test flying and then taught other pilots to fly them, and we've built our expertise that way.
Well, long may it continue. Great to have you at Old Warden for the first time here today, and I hope we see the fleet represented here many times again. You've got to get off and go and prepare the aircraft in some less than ideal conditions now.
I've got to go and get the aircraft started.
Yes.
I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you for coming, Steve.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Ben. Thank
Likewise,
you.
Steve Daniels there from Historic Helicopters. He'll be flying the Sea King HC4 later on today.